What is going on, YouTube peoples? How is everybody today? I hope you're doing very well. Today, I'm doing a review for someone who asked me. Mr. Nick said, DB, he says, I got the same kind of skin you do. Can you give me a top something of fragrances that last on your skin? I said, sure, let me fit it in. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you my top 7 that stick to my skin for my skin type. So stick right there. This is DB, and I'm about to take you behind the nonsense. So for all of you guys that I'm Irish and German, but my skin is very Irish. I have very dry, what you want to call it, just unoily skin. So a lot of things do not stick to my skin as well as some people's skin. I have a buddy that does reviews as well, and his name is Tyrone. You guys might know him as BroSense. Seems like everything works on that guy's freaking skin, so I'm a little jealous, but I have to go with things that work well on my skin. So I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions, and I'll tell you why they're honorable mentions, and these are in particular order. So it'll be my top 7 all the way down to the number 1 that lasts on my skin. So let's get to it. My first honorable mention, honestly, is going to be authenticity. Authenticity lasts on my skin a nice 6 hours. And I know that don't sound like a lot, but I spray on my skin and I spray on my shirt. So on my skin, this is popping 8 hours. The only reason that I'm really honorably mentioning this is if you're going to charge me $31.99 a bottle and it lasts 6 hours on my skin, I'm taking it any day. I am not a reapplier, but I'll take it. The other honorable mention, I'm having a difficult time talking today, just like I can't get my speech out, is Wise Guys Vegas Cologne. And the reason that this is going to get an honorable mention is this cologne alone gives me roughly 4, 5, top 6 hours on my skin. But the same thing with authenticity. If you're only going to charge me $50 for a bottle, but the reason that I'm really mentioning it is he gave me a roll-on with pure oil on it. And because of this lasts on my skin every bit of 10 hours. So with that being said, let's dive into it. At number 7, Boss Bottled. Yes. This stuff here lasts on my skin 7-ish hours. The reason I say 7-ish is because when I did wear this, I worked at a place where I sweat a lot. So when you sweat, you tend to, the salt gets in all that stuff and wears it off. But I got 7 long-lasting hours with this on my skin. And for a cheapie, I don't think that's hard to beat for my type of skin. So I'm very, very impressed with Boss Bottled. I believe this is called Boss Bottled number 6 or something of that nature. I never understood what this was called. I've just always called it Boss Bottled. So if you guys know it by a different name, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. But I was always told this was Boss Bottled number 6 or Boss Bottled. So if it's not what I think it is, I digress. But this is what I know it as. So on to number 6. A lot of people have not heard of this brand, but I have, and I'm actually very fond of the scent as well, and that's Canon Norwegian Wood. This is another one for a freshie. You guys know I'm not a freshie. This puts 8 hours on my skin, no doubt about it. This is an Eau de Toilette, which is real surprising considering it's an Eau de Toilette to give me 8 hours on my skin. Definite 8 hours on my skin. I am liberal with it, but at the same time, it gets good on my skin. If you've never tried this, you're missing something. I will review this one day because I'm absolutely in love with it. But I really like this one. So that comes in as number 6. Number 5 on my list is another semi-cheapie. This I've had this for a while, and at one time this had taken the fragrance community, and the reviewers had gone gaga about it because they were finding it in stores really cheap. I got mine from a person who was in a lounge one time. He said, DB, you've done a lot for us. Let me do something for you. So I got it free. If somebody's going to ship me something, I didn't ask him, man. It was just a beautiful gesture. I think Howie is the guy that sent it to me. But nonetheless, let's get to it. Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature. This is one of... I don't like a whole lot of Salvatore Ferragamos, but the Uomo lines I absolutely do. And because of what this simply is it's got so many spices in it. This lasts on my skin almost 9 hours. Believe it or not, I mean, this is anywhere from a $20 to a $30 frag, and I guarantee you, with the type of skin that I got, this will stick on you for a good 8-9 hours plus. So at number 4, this is another one that don't get a whole lot of love in the community. I happen to love it. It is one of my favorites. And this one is Him by Hani Mori. I love this fragrance. I only get 7 hours with this, but the reason that I have this as my number 4 is because of the darkness about it. And because it's dark, it gives me 7 hours on my skin. This is a stronger 7 hours on my skin. And that's the only reason I put it a little more closer to the number 1 spot, is because it's darker and it's a stronger smell on my skin. Yes, it beat out Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature, because Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature, it dies off, even though it gives you that smell. And if you're anything like me, if I got to pull my wrist up there or whatever to smell it, it's not a skin scent anymore. So I do not count that. If I wave my hand around in front of my face a foot and I still smell it, that's considered part of my longevity. So just wanted to put that out there. So this lasts strong, but when it dissipates, it's gone. So at number 4, Him by Hani Mori. Number 3 on my list isn't a specific fragrance, more of a fragrance house. I have recently just got into these. I've only worn 3 of them. And the reason that this one's not going to look very professional is it's a test batch that was sent to me. I kind of want to reiterate that this is a new, and I got to review it still. I gave it my first impressions. But nonetheless, that is the House of Happy Land. Guys, Happy Land on my skin is easily 9 hours. And the reason that I'm just going to say the house itself is because some give me a little less, some give me a little more. But I do not get less than 8 hours with any Happy Land on my skin. On my shirt's a whole different story, but today we're talking about skin. And with Happy Land, and this being one of their newer ones called Amberland, which I still have to review, I still, with this house, get a lot of time on my skin. And this doesn't die down either. This is number 3 on my list. This house is number 3 for a reason. It's because these guys, EJ Wells knows what he's doing. And this is, I believe, X-Straight. And they just last super long on my skin. Amazingly, for this being a cheap house, and I don't mean, cheap as in quality, because obviously this isn't cheap in quality, but being cheaper in the price and how this lasts on my skin, this is well worth. This could easily be my number 1 house for how long this lasts on my skin. The reason it isn't is because the other 2 actually put a whole lot longer on my skin, where this would be number 1. So at number 3, Happy Land Studios works very well on my skin. Now, for number 2, this is controversial to some, but we're not talking about how the fragrance smells. We're talking about how long this lasts on my skin. Now, the house itself to me is usually hit or miss. Most of the time it's a hit, but this particular fragrance of itself lasts 10 hours on my skin, and that is Mancera's Red Tobacco. Very strong scent. The initial blast on this is strong as all get out. I get 10 hours on this on my skin. Once again, I'm liberal with it. When it's on my skin, I'm liberal with it. With my shirt, it's usually 1 or 2 in the neckish area. But on my wrist, I put up and down my arm. It gives a nice long blast. So that's what I do. I'll put one big long blast all the way down my arm. And I get very, very close to 10 hours. That's the only reason I'm calling it 10 hours is because it's real close to 10 hours. I'm not going to say 9 hours and 45 minutes. It's kind of ridiculous. But at number 2 is Mancera's Red Tobacco. The number 1 fragrance that is really good on my skin should be no surprise to anybody. At least I wouldn't hope it's a surprise to anybody. But it is absolutely, I will also do tomorrow I'm doing a top something of my favorites. So, going to be a spoiler. This is going to be in it. But that's Xerjoff Naxos. This gets me anywhere, depending on how much I want to spray, I get 10 to 12 hours on my skin. I did wear the Dua version of that. And the only reason that Dua is not on my list is because way too many Dua fragrances, some last only a couple hours and some last a real long time. And Dua has a lot, and I don't really have the ones that I sampled because of the issues that I had with Dua at the time. I got rid of all of them. So I didn't want to put the one that I do have, the 13ZZ, on there, because that does not last but 4 hours on my skin, maybe 6 hours, just depends. To me, I'm looking at 7 hours plus, because to me 7 hours is close enough to a full work day. But Naxos is number 1 because it's just one of probably the strongest fragrances you can get, but when it mellows down, it's real nice, and it just continues to stay on my skin. But don't let Dua fool you. Dua's got some very good ones. I should have put them in my honorable mention too, so I'll go ahead and do so. But anyway, Naxos, number 1, works well on my skin, doesn't dissipate whatsoever. It lasts almost as long on my skin as it does on my clothes, and that's a rarity. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want you guys to go to a company called My Decant Holder on Facebook. The gentleman on there makes wooden decant holders, and they're just absolutely a real good content. I have one on the way. I don't have the display to you, but he asked me to give you guys an offer in case you want to go check him out. So in the bottom, I will put a link in the comments to his Facebook page where you can go order. If you mention that DB sent you, you will get 10% off any decant holder. This guy makes, I will show some pictures as well, probably right up in here, showing the kind of decant holder I'm getting. It holds an array of different decant holders. These are all special made to orders. You get them the way you want them. They can go real cheap to something real extravagant. I tried to get one real extravagant. Was a little bit out of my price range. It didn't bother him none. He hit me back and said, "What's your price range?" And he gave me something in my price range that worked perfectly well. Even though it's not a double stack or triple stack like I wanted, it's going to work real well. And it's made of wood. It is absolutely beautiful. So check him out. Tell him DB sent you. You get 10% off of your order. And for you guys who don't like decants because you're a little bit too stuck up, guess this ain't going to work for you. But if you're like DB and only worry about the juice, I have a lot of decants, and this is going to work out just well for me. So, hey, I'm glad you guys stopped by on this beautiful Saturday. Sorry about the live. It didn't work out. We'll get them issues worked out and do it again. But these are my top 7 that give me at least 7 hours on my skin. And for us Irish people, hopefully this helps you out. This DB, and I just took you behind the nonsense. You have a good one.